Hi, everybody. I thought we'd have some fun tonight and do a little history lesson, a little review, so to speak, a post game show. And what we're gonna do a post game show on is phone call from narcissistic mother. I still got a lot of questions about it. A lot of people haven't seen it. People asking, well, what did you mean by this? What did she mean by that? Because I realize as I listen to it again, there's a lot of hidden speech between me and my mother that most people wouldn't understand. Me and my mother and her family, and I'm able to do this as well, have the ability to speak in three-word sentences that get cut off and we know exactly what everybody's saying. And it's just insanity. It's the language of a crazy person, and I understand it. It's the language of crazy people. But unfortunately, I'm very literate in it. And I realize as I listen to this that this video and this recording does need a lot of translation and some explanation, because I still do get some questions. And I think at this point in the channel anyway, it'd be a good time to revisit it for people who haven't heard it. Again, I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, thank you for posting this. This could be my mother, this could be my father, this could be my whoever. I've heard this, and I've never been able to record it. I never thought to record it. This is my proof I'm not crazy. So, to me, that's why this video is important. More than it's my holy grail. And I told that to my ex-wife. Like, you could try to explain to anybody who watches my channel and say, well, he's crazy, he's making it up, he's lying, he's insane, he's this, he's that. You might be able to do that. You might. There's no explaining away this phone call, which is what kills the abuser, kills the narcissist, and it kills them, because they know you can't hide from this. You can't explain this away. You can't blame it on me. You can't do it. Can't be done. Can't be done. So, without further ado, we'll get to the phone call. Now, a reminder, this was after the infamous softball incident at my daughter's game. This phone call is actually a follow-up call that I had to make to my mother. Reason being, that night I had gotten the original phone call. She was calling. She must have called. I said in the video 17 times. It was more than 17 times. She must have called probably about 35, 40 times that night. Between my phone, my cell phone, and my house phone. Well, she was ringing multiple phones at the same time. Finally, she got through on my house phone. She was just there screaming. And she starts screaming, whore this, and you motherfucker that, and I'll kill her, and she'll be dead. And I hang up, and I heard it. And I'm like, she was just threatening you. And then all of a sudden, suddenly a voicemail pops through on my cell. So I go to the cell phone, play the voicemail, and it's my mother saying, you're either going to pick up the phone when I call you, or I'm coming over there. And I'm like, shit. And at that point, I had unplugged by the time I had listened to that, I had unplugged the house phone. So I didn't know she was trying to ring through again on the house phone that I unplugged, because that was the night I first downloaded a block app on my cell phone. So I had blocked her number, so she couldn't get through to me anymore on the cell phone. Listened to the voicemail, like, oh shit, she could be on her way over here drunk. On the house phone, call, and she picked right up, because she was still drunk dialing. So where we picked up is after the voicemail, I'm calling her back after the original phone call where she just screamed out she's fucking dead, I'm gonna kill her. Voicemail. I don't want her showing up at my house all drunk, causing problems. So I'm like, I gotta call her back. And I had purchased this recording equipment for a different reason with the divorce, because my ex-wife was lying on something else that I needed to get recorded. I didn't buy this stuff with the intention of using it. I bought it to protect myself against my ex-wife. I never thought that I would use it against my parents, because I just, at that point, I was already resigned. Like, I just wanted them out of my life. I hadn't made the decision to move to Florida yet. So we pick up with me calling back old mommy dearest. Here we go.
Hello? Hello? Yes? Now. You threatened? Go ahead.
Now, mind you, how long it takes me to even get out a full sentence.
Hello? Yes. Now. You threatened my girlfriend.
Oh, please, Matthew. Please.
You threatened my girlfriend.
Oh, please. The slut, the whore. Please.
Listen.
Listen,
Just
Matthew.
no, I'm not gonna.
Matthew.
I'm not gonna do anything.
Oh, what are you going to do to me, Matthew? What are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? Threaten the whore? The whore? The whore.
My intention calling her back, I wanted to get it on tape that I don't want anything from you. I just want you to stay away from me. Because I'm thinking in my head, all right, she realizes, because my mother is a government worker. You know, she works, in the same building as the police department, and she's dealing with cops, so she knows you're not supposed to be making death threats against people. But me knowing my mother as I do, and her family, they go crazy when they realize they're wrong. And I'm like, she's going to be in a panic. So what I'm trying to convey to her is, I'm not going to do anything. Just leave me alone. Meaning I'm not going to go to the police. I'm not going to do anything. Just leave me alone. But as you can see, my mother, in my mother's world, she thinks if I can prevent you from saying it, therefore it doesn't exist. So if I can out yell you or over yell you was you're trying to get, it means it doesn't exist. It didn't happen. It takes me about halfway through the phone before I can even get out the full sentence of what I want to say. Back to the phone call.
Let's say it again. She's a whore.
Listen.
I told you, if she fucking dares to talk to my granddaughter about me, she's dead. Did you hear me? She's dead. Did you hear me? She's dead.
She's
I
dead.
don't want her mentioning my name to Erin. Do you understand? She's a piece of shit whore.
Now here's the funny thing about my mother's concern for being mentioned to Erin. My mother doesn't even like Erin. Never did, because Erin takes attention away from her. See, my mother, since the day Erin was born, has been kind of in an active competition with my daughter because she feels Erin takes attention away from her and her time and her shore house and everything she wants to do. You see, this is the way my mother always treated Erin, and Erin knew it, and Erin still knows it. The reason Erin goes along with what she goes along with now is because of my father bribing her. And my mother's so afraid of this recording, she'll go along with whatever my father tells her. Because my father tells her, just keep your fucking mouth shut, Laura. And I know what he said to her. Just keep your fucking mouth shut, Laura, and everything will go away. Because I know that's how, and I know that's exactly how he said it, because I've heard him say it 1,000 times. It's no big secret. Back to the recording.
All right? I will go to the police department. I'll go any place you want me to go, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Any place you want me to go.
I just want you to stay away from me. I just want you
talk
to...
about me to my granddaughter.
This is part of I always get a question about. What does that mean? I'll go to the police. Understand something. My mother is stumbling drunk right now. She is staggering drunk off of cheap vodka, which is her drink of choice. Okay? So she's saying, like, I don't care. I'll go into the police. Don't tell them I threat. I don't. She's just drunk. Drunky the fuck clown. If you're a fan of the Trailer Park Boys. That's my mother. Drunky the fuck clown. Here she comes with her staggering act of violence. Back
What did she say that wasn't true?
I don't want
Let me
her
back this up
talking
a second.
to my granddaughter.
What did she say that wasn't true?
I don't.
Notice I ask her, what did she say that wasn't true? You notice my mother's not saying, well, Erin said this and that, and Erin said, I don't even know what my mother's complaining about here. She talked about me. Your girlfriend talked about me. Remember, if you're my age, if you're in your 40s or you're a Gen Xer or younger, remember in grade school and in middle school, and you used to get into fights because somebody talked about you? She talked about me. Well, what did she say to her? And what did she say that wasn't true? You notice she doesn't have an answer for that. Again, she continues to talk over, thinking, well, if I don't even acknowledge it, it didn't happen. So let's back it up a little bit and go again.
I just want
talk
you to...
about me to my granddaughter.
What did she say that wasn't true?
I don't want her talking about me to that whore.
It's not up to you. I mean, she can talk to
All
her
right,
about whatever she
what
wants.
do you have to say, Matt?
Now, that was me on the advice of my therapist. At that point in therapy, I was going through, you have to set a boundary. You have to make it clear that this is your child. And I'm trying to make it's not up to you. It's up to me. It's not up to you. You're not her mother or her father.
I
Are you
was...
going to threaten me, Matthew?
I'm not going to threaten. I don't threaten.
Oh, no, you don't threaten. Mine's a promise.
Now, it may not have come out as clear when I say I don't threaten. Some people are like saying, like, well, I was saying I don't threaten, I promise, like she was saying. No, I was trying to say I don't threaten people. I don't threaten people. I don't threaten people. Like, I would just... But she wanted to take it too, and she understood that because she's like, mine's a promise. Keep in mind, this is a 60-something-year-old woman at the time. Drunk off her ass, and this is on a Sunday night. On a Sunday night. It's craziness. It's craziness.
I'd like her parents' phone number because I want to know how they raised a whore.
I want her parents' phone number. That was a classic threat they used to do to me. They used to threaten to call my friends and tell them what a piece of shit I was. Tell their friends' family, their parents, what a piece of shit I was. And like it was just like always this. You see the threats of, I want her parents' phone number, and the threats of humiliation, and the grandiose bullying. The bullying. This is a 62, 3-year-old, whatever the frig she was at the time. I was 36 years old. She's threatening a 36-year-old man like this. Because his girlfriend talked about me.
Like she is.
She wants your parents' phone number because they want to know how they raised a whore.
Hey, where is the whore? The whore! How dare...
Very I know what you're going to say. Well, your mom makes a very convincing argument there. Very convincing. Listen, Drunky the fuck clown sometimes gets it right. A 62-year-old woman calling a young girl a whore because she talked about her. Because
they want to know how they raised a whore.
Hey, where is the whore? The whore!
Oh yes, and my wife was sitting next to me on the couch at the time and could hear through the phone, as probably my neighbors could when you got a mouth cannon like that.
How dare she do what she did to me? You know, Matthew,
How dare she do what she did to you? Stop you from being drunk at a Little League game? How dare she? How dare she? Like she's the friggin' queen of the queen. Here comes Drunky the fuck clown, the vodka queen of Little League. How dare she? The entitlement of the narcissist. Again, another one of my videos. But back to the, mind you, we're only two minutes in.
came up to you at that baseball game because I really wanted to know how you were doing. But the whore! Get my drift, Matthew? I don't have anything to do with her.
You notice the change of strategy from one strategy of attack back to, I only came up to you at that game because I was, to the concern, right back to, didn't get what she wanted, immediately back to the attack again. Let's review that again, in case you missed it.
I really wanted to know how you were doing. But the whore!
We missed it. We'll go back further.
She do what she did to me. You know, Matthew, I came up to you at that baseball game because I really wanted to know how you were doing. But the whore! Yep.
Just off the but the whore. That's how fast it goes. It went from attack to, I came up to that game and did the whore. Try growing up with that. Because this isn't an anomaly. This is her norm. This is just how she is. Continuing on.
My dress, Matthew, I don't have anything to do with her. She is nobody. And you know, I was good to her. I let her.
That she is nobody line, Aaron has used verbatim in the same exact inflection. Which is just more proof that she's being brainwashed by these people. Because that means my mother is continually walking around talking about this, saying that girl is nobody to me. She's nobody, until it's sunk into Aaron's head, and now she's repeating it back to me.
In my house, I was nice to her. I never was friends with her.
Though that's my mother's criteria for being a good person. I let her into my house. I was nice to her, and I wasn't fresh to her. She should be I know what you're thinking. You know, she should be a diplomat. She should go over to the Middle East. She could probably bring peace to all this with that. With those kind of social skills, I mean, how could you not be? How could you not be? I bet with those kind of social skills, she could probably get ISIS to stop decapitating people. I think it's probably worth a shot. I think she should go over there. Maybe we'll start a Kickstarter, get a plane ticket for her or something. Because they're about just as rational as she is. We'll review that in case you missed it.
She is nobody. And you know, I was good to her. I let her in my house. I was nice to her. I never was fresh with her.
What a humanitarian! I mean, what a humanitarian! I can't believe I've started this channel. When you have a humanitarian like that, she also said to her on their little shitty boat, "What do poor people do for fun?" Oh, I can't believe there's not a parade. I can't believe there's not a big parade balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. It's friggin' humanitarian. God, what a woman. God. This is going to be a long one, guys, because we're only 2 minutes and 46 seconds into this video.
And you know what? You love her. Good for you.
Good for me. I love her.
But don't you dare talk about me to my granddaughter.
Now, you got to understand what the visual must look like at this point, as my mother's holding her friggin' canister of vodka, standing drunk in her kitchen, rationalizing this in her drunken slur way. It has a special place in my heart.
Because I'll knock her fucking block off. And you want to challenge me on that? I'll die, go to jail, do anything. She'll be fucking dead.
What a poet. I mean, this woman, this is a poet. But this is what I had to listen to growing up. I mean, this is what raised me. A family of this. This is just one aspect of my upbringing. This isn't, you know what you know about my father. This, how my mother, is what I grew up with as a child up until my whole life. This is how my mother and her sisters talk to each other. This is how they talk with people. This is how they conflict resolve. This to them is conflict resolution. "62-year-old woman at the time." Remember that. Remember this.
I said it like 4 times. So what did you want to say?
That's my wife asking me, is she threatening me? I'm like, yeah, she's threatened you like 4. Because now at this point, she's starting to panic. Because my mother's like, just... This is lunacy. Like, if this woman was saying this about you, you'd probably be terrified too. We'll go back a little.
I go to jail, do anything. She'll be fucking dead. I said it like 4 times. So what did you want to say?
I was going to say to you, even though you threatened her before, I wasn't going to. I thought you had some sense and knew that you went too far. I was going to tell you.
I went too far? I think she went too far.
Still haven't been able to get the full statement out. Because she can't stop with the fight. I'm trying to tell her, I realize you think you probably went too far. And my next line was going to be, just leave me alone. You can't get the words out. If I can stop him from saying it, it doesn't exist. If I threaten him enough, maybe I can scare. This is just scare bully tactics. That's all this is going on. This is how I was raised. This is how I was taught. This is what I had to face every day coming home. This is what I dealt with.
wanted to know how my son was doing.
Yeah.
There was no ulterior motive. I swear that I dropped dead or Aaron dies at the same time.
I'm sure.
All right?
Please don't use my daughter.
How you were doing.
Now there's another classic tactic in my threatening swearing on the lives of other people. She didn't swearing on the lives of other people's children. And I'm saying, do not swear on my daughter's life. This is what I'm saying is, please don't use my daughter. I'm like, please, and I'm trying to say, please don't use my daughter in your shitty whatever you're trying to do here. This is just this is the talk of crazy people. To threaten, to use my daughter, swear on knowing she's lying and how drunk she is, and to swear on my daughter's life. But this is do you know how many times she's lied and say, may you drop dead if I'm lying? Like, I know you're lying, bitch. Bitch, I know you're lying. You are incapable of telling the truth. Three minutes, 44 seconds into an 11-minute and 17 video.
Please don't
I
use my
didn't know at
daughter.
the time everything that was involved. But you know what? You couldn't speak for yourself. You let her speak.
I don't let anybody speak. I don't want to speak to you. Why did you even show up at the game? See, now there it is. And you couldn't even speak for you. See, it can't be me fighting back. Can't be me fighting back. It has to be her. Has to be her. Because you have no balls on your own. So if I can somehow maybe attack your manhood by like saying she's got your balls, because that's what she's trying to do. This is my point with trying to argue with a narcissist, or trying to reason with a narcissist, or trying to do any. They're incapable of doing it. They go from one attack mode to the next, to the next, to the next. There is nothing registering in my mother's head. It's bouncing off. All she's hearing is, he's not giving you your way. Switch to an attack. Switch to being concerned. Doesn't work. Switch. Doesn't work. Switch. Doesn't work. Switch. That's what she keeps doing. Go back again.
You couldn't speak for yourself. You let her speak.
I don't let anybody speak. I don't want to speak to you. What?
That shut her up. I didn't want to speak to you. And it's as plain as you can be. And that actually threw her. And my mistake here was then re-engaging on even saying, why did you go to the game? Because now now I'm going back to almost playing her game, to even acknowledging what she wants to talk about and getting into a fight about whatever she wants to fight about at that game. Where I'm trying to just say, go the fuck away. Don't call me anymore. Leave me alone.
Even show up at the game.
We go to Aaron's game.
You haven't been to one.
I've been to 3 of them.
What? You haven't been to 3 games.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you haven't been to everyone.
Because nobody tells me, but that's neither here nor there.
Schedule.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
neither here nor there.
That's what I was talking about before. I never saw them at a game. And there were a couple that spring. It was especially rainy up in New Jersey, so a couple of her games had gotten rained out. When the rainouts happened, they get rescheduled. Nobody told me. So they're claiming they were at those games. But I asked my daughter. She's like, no, that was the first game they'd ever showed up at. That was the first game they ever showed up at. And they only showed up because my ex-wife called them there, and it was on from there.
Tell you something. I always say wonderful things about you.
I don't care. Ma, listen.
Oh, you don't care?
I don't care.
No, you only care about things.
I don't care to listen to.
She tried to switch to the concern,
Soon as I'm like, I shut it down, I don't care. Right back to the attack. Listen, for the concern, I don't care. Right back to the attack.
Yeah, you don't maybe here nor there. I only say wonderful things about you. I don't care, Ma. Listen. Oh, you don't care? I don't care. No, you only care about things. I don't care to listen to you because you're terrible. You're a terrible person. Oh, I'm a terrible person. You piece of shit. Yes. Okay, I just want you out of my life.
Right there is when you're a terrible person. Soon as she heard, that was it. You piece of shit. Now, I'm a piece. She's calling me 4 minutes, 38 seconds to a phone call that I haven't even been able to get out a full sentence of what I want to say to her. Calling me a whore, calling her a whore, making death threats. You piece of shit.
Listen to you because you're terrible. You're a terrible person. Oh, I'm a terrible person. You piece of shit. Yes. Okay, I just want you out of my life. I am out of your life, Matthew. No, because you called me 15 times tonight. I called you 15 times because that whore that you're with spoke to my granddaughter. Because your granddaughter said you said terrible king here saying with all the stuff you said.
So this is where we really get in. It really gets interesting, you know, because I wasn't gonna let that go. Like, you're not gonna be here. Oh, the only reason this happened is because no. The only thing, and as I have explained before, what my girlfriend said to Aaron, because Aaron had come over and said, you know, Nonna and Poppy were saying all this bad stuff about you, Daddy, and about you, Free, and they're on and on and on and on. And all my wife said to her is like, Aaron, I know you love your Nonna and Pop, but they're not very nice to your dad. And that was it. That was the gist of everything my wife said. That was the gist. And if you hear banging, it's because the neighbors upstairs are having another. It is Saturday, so it's time for the Saturday night. It's time for Saturday night fights. It happens. Back to the audio tape.
About her. She repeats everything. You know what, Matthew? Don't drag her into your fucking life. I don't drag her. Shit that you are. I don't drag her. All that.
You know, that part was like, just don't drag her into your life. When Aaron was being used as nothing but basically a political football to be used as a pawn for these people. Lying piece of shit that I am. What did I lie about? What am I lying about? Onwards.
It's been manipulated. I want you to leave my Nonna alone. That's what my granddaughter said.
She keeps saying my granddaughter and saying, oh, I told you to leave my Nonna alone. Aaron never would have said that. She never did say it. Erin doesn't even like my mother that much because she realizes my mother's a child who she's in competition with. I think part of the reason why Erin does what she does is because it gets over on her grandmother as well. It's kind of like a power. I think my father's kind of using Erin as power over my mother now as well. So let's go back and listen to that whole little exchange again.
I don't drag her. I don't drag her. All that shit has been manipulated. I want you to leave my Nonna alone. That's what my granddaughter said. Oh, Lord. You know, Matthew, I will be dead soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, you piece of shit.
I know that one has kind of bothered a few people, the hopefully. I stick by it. can't happen soon enough. She's been saying she was going to die since I was 10 years old. So her die, she's been dying for 31 years now. 31 years she's been dying. And now I'm a piece of shit. She could threaten to kill my wife. Piece of shit. But somebody wishes ill will on her? Oh, that's the narcissist rage. My mother is such a stereotype. She is a case study on borderline personality disorder and narcissism. She is a literal case study.
You and that scum-sucking piece of shit that you're with.
That'd be my wife.
So why did you call me back?
Why did you call me back?
I was going to call you to let you know, even though you threatened her, to just leave me alone, and I'm not going to do anything about
Oh,
it.
you're not. You think I'm...
That was it. 5 minutes, 45 minutes, seconds into a phone call, I could finally get, and she didn't hear a word of it because it goes right back to the threats.
I'm afraid of you. You think I'm fucking afraid of you. You actually think I'm afraid of you.
This is a conversation. This is how they talk. Who's afraid? Threats, violence. I'm 36 years old at the time. She's 62 years old. And I'm at this point like, I don't know what you're out of your mind.
Do anything about
Oh,
it.
you're not. You think I'm afraid of you. You think I'm fucking afraid of you. You actually think I'm afraid of you.
What
Do you?
What is it
Do
you
you?
want?
You want to answer my question. Do you actually think I'm afraid of you?
You're crazy.
You know what?
I don't. What
I've
is
been
it
afraid
you
that you don't
want?
love me, but you don't love me anyway. So what do I have to be afraid of anymore?
No.
You think I'm afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. You don't love me. It's any and every tactic. Throw it at the wall. Hope it sticks. Hope it sticks. She still hasn't told what anybody's done to her, what I've lied about, any of it. It's all general rantings of a crazy person.
Nothing. Nothing. Because I was a no-good piece of shit mother. And you keep on telling every woman you're involved with that that's what I was. That's what I was.
Everybody who needs you can see it for themselves.
Everybody. Matthew, who do you have, Karen? No, but who do you have?
Who do I?
So now the problem here is that she's not the problem. It's me telling women I'm with. I don't know, because I've only been with one woman. You know, since I was 21 years old, I've been with my ex-wife, and I've been with this girl. Well, women. Her is the girl. Okay, who knows she's fucking crazy. My ex-wife knows she's crazy. To her, that's every woman I'm with. Okay? She thinks nobody can see how she acts. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you about my mother. She thinks she actually fools people. As I said, this isn't an anomaly, for my mother has acted like this numerous times in front of basically everybody she knows, has seen the side of my mother on numerous occasions. But in my mother's crazy head, she thinks people don't see this. She thinks this is completely normal. And then she switches right back to the bullying. Who do you have? The divide and conquer tactic that is just also so popular with the narcissist, and especially mine. Who do you have? You're isolated. You're alone. Nobody's on your side. Like, you're tallying up who's on whose side. And at this point, I say I did have my brother. Because I did have my brother at that point. See, that was before my brother pussed out and couldn't handle daddy yelling at him in his living room. But instead of had growing a set of fucking balls and tossing him out, he's like, let me throw the attention back on Matty boy, as I always did, and I could go back to being a fucking jerkwater. But that was my 2 videos ago, and I'm sure there'll be a part 2 to Little Precious. And if you're a Trailer Park Boy fan, if you're a fan of Trailer Park Boys, yes, it is ironic that my brother and Julian from the show both like to dance around to Dirty Dancing in the 80s. It's a great show, by the way, Trailer Park Boys. If you're not a fan, I strongly suggest you check it out on Netflix. It's a great show. But back to the recording. And I'm sorry this is going so long, but this one needs to be done.
You don't even have a fucking job, you loser. You don't even have a job. What do you have? What do you have at this point in your life?
Happiness.
37 years old. Oh, you're back with Tommy, the drug addict. Uh-oh.
See, she was out of her mind because that's when I had quit Macy's. And I had quit Macy's to get my hand, because I knew I didn't want to go back there. I was done. I had quit. I had cashed out my 401s, and it was at that point I had made the decision, like, well, what am I going to do with this money? Because I had just quit, and I had told my ex, I'm quitting my job. That's it. I'm done. So this is right after I quit. So now she's like, oh, well, you quit your job. You're a loser. And I wouldn't tell her. Because that was the other, she was screaming, like, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? Nobody knew what I was doing. And the ironic thing is I cashed out that 401k that my father had signed me up for, without my authorization way back when. He took it upon himself to impersonate me, sign documents in my name, and put and sign me up for a 401k. Which in the long run, the irony is, if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to get away and move and make the move that I did. So thanks, Dad. Thanks. And they did know that, and that drove them crazy. Once they found out what happened and what I did to move out, they blew a goddamn gasket. Because at the time they were trying to hold the divorce over my head, saying they were going to go after my 401k. So at that point is when I said, you know what? You could have whatever you want. I'll just take my 401k. You could have. And once they realized, once that divorce was finalized, because I didn't tell anybody I was leaving for South Florida until a month before I did it. That's just the way it had to kind of go down, because otherwise it never would have happened. Now, I'm back with the drug addict Tommy. Tommy was my best friend in high school. He's still my best friend. But Tommy has a very similar mother to me, personality disorders. And when we were 22, 23, we were living together. We got in an apartment together, and he got hooked on coke. And he's had a problem with it ever since. I don't do drugs. I never did drugs. I never touched drugs. I barely even drink. If alcohol disappeared tomorrow, I could care less. I wasn't having it. Tommy's been in and out of rehab, he's had his problems. But I know in his heart he's a good guy. And at that time, he had reached out to me after about 10 years it had been. And he reached out to me and he was trying to make amends. And, I was hanging out with him the one day. And that's how my mother found out that, I was with him. And I have never, ever put my daughter or anybody in a position of, like, Tom's not a dangerous person. I haven't seen him now. I mean, I talk to him maybe once a month now just to see how he's doing. He calls, I'll always be his friend. But I always made it clear from the time we were in my early 20s, I'm not going to have any part of his drugs. His coke I don't. It's very destructive. But my mother thinking, excuse me, my mother thinking, oh, well, you're hanging out with a drug addict, so, and therefore you're a piece of shit, and all you have as a drug addict is, it's just another bullying tactic. And here's the funny thing. My mother will now cry on Tommy's mother's shoulder when they see each other at ShopRite, about, oh, it's terrible this and terrible that, Tom's mother not even real. Tommy real, because he's heard this video. I've played this for him. And there's my mother crying on the drug addict's mother's shoulder about, you get the picture of the absolute disgusting hypocrisy of my mother. I'm going to try to speed this along here.
Well, God, what do you have?
What do you
My
have?
brother. You know what? Your brother loves
Time I did.
Don't I? What? Don't I? Yes, you have your brother. Nobody said you don't have your brother. You run to him for every little. Are you? What is this? You're going to make me fight over your brother?
You notice the confusion when I said, oh, I have my brother. She didn't know what to do with that. She didn't know what to do with that. Oh, you're going to make me fight over my brother? No, stupid. You asked me who I had. So if you're going to ask me a question, if I choose to answer it, I'll answer it. But don't ask me a question you don't want an answer to. Whether or not I answer it, it's completely up to me.
You're the one bringing up I have nobody. You asked me who I had. I answered the question. Don't ask me a question if you don't want an answer. I'm very glad to have your brother. Good. I'm very glad. Good. One person. What is it you want?
One person.
Like, what is it you want? I don't want anything from you. I don't want you to insist. You know what that is? She's my child.
And there it was. If you didn't hear it, and this is part of the half speak, I don't want you to influence Aaron. And she's saying, even she realizes, I can't tell the girl's father not to influence his own daughter. This is how she knows. Right there is when she realizes, I don't have a goddamn leg to stand on here. We'll go back in case you missed it.
Like, what is it you want?
What do you want?
I don't want anything from you. I don't want you to insist. You know what that is? She's my child, not yours. Not yours, mine. I know she's with that. I know she's your child. And I say wonderful things about you to her.
Here comes the gap. I only say wonderful things.
I want her to love you, Matt.
I
would. Yes, she does. And I know you're a good father. I would never.
And I know you're a good father.
Believe me, Matt. I want her to love you, Matt.
Yes, she does.
I would. Yes, she does. And I know you're a good father. I would never, ever, ever do anything to ruin that relationship.
No,
I
never do
want you to
anything.
have a good relationship with her. But when your girlfriend says things about me to her, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
That's all I'm saying, Matthew.
Notice the calmness.
Never mind the name calling or anything.
Never mind the name
It
calling.
doesn't work.
The 8 minutes of
I
name
tell Matt,
calling.
Michael, I tell Aaron, what a good baby, what a wonderful person. I'm your mommy, and he's your dad, and he's a wonderful person. That's what I tell him. And you listen to everything your daddy tells you. He loves you very much.
Wait for it.
That's what I say.
Wait for it.
Thank you. Why would I say?
Why?
Oh, I don't know why you would say. I got 8 minutes and 47 seconds of why you would say something different. Okay, and the last 20 seconds of you being sweet. Do you think she stays sweet? Because I'm about to reject that. Let's find out. Let's find out if because she's sweet now. Let's see how long it takes her to change tactics.
Would she say anything different?
As I'm
All she
mocking.
says is wonderful things to Aaron about me. Why would she say anything different?
You.
Everybody.
She actually stopped him from calling me you piece of shit. Let's listen again.
Why would she say anything different?
Matthew.
All she says is wonderful things to Aaron about me. Why would she say anything different?
You. Everybody doesn't have an ulterior motive like you do.
I don't have an ulterior motive. I just want my life. I just want to move on with that.
You got no life.
I have no life. You're right.
No life.
She decides who has a life.
Oh, you got your brother. You hated him your whole.
Now she's trying to.
Now you got your brother. Oh.
Now here comes the. You and your brother always hated each other, so here comes the divide and conquer again. It's very low, but we'll see if we'll rewind it again.
You're right.
You know what, Matthew?
Yeah.
You say to me, oh, you got your brother. You hated him your whole freaking life. Now you got your brother. Oh, stop talking to that fucking whore. Talk to me. Talk to me.
At this
I'm
point,
talking, Mother.
I'm
Talk to
numb.
me.
I'm talking, Mother.
What do you do? I realize it's being recorded. I realize, I just gotta let this. Well, what do you do at this point? You got an incoherent, drunken buffoon making death threats. I realize how many of you have heard this from your own family, and I understand that, and that's why this call is just so important to me and to other people. It's almost over. We got another minute and a half.
I would never say anything to her about you. But you are my son, and I still love you no matter what. I'm never going to stop loving you. You might disown me. You might want to have something to do with me.
Got that
You'll
right.
always be my son. I will always love you, and your father will always love you. Your father made that one speak to you anymore.
Good.
He does.
At that point, I'm like, I want him so far away. Like, I couldn't even get the words. Like, when she said my father doesn't want it, no, dude, I'm not speaking with him. Like, I rejected him. Dude, there's so much anger there and so much. Like, the fact that I can't even be in the same room with him, I don't think, anymore. I don't even think I could lay eyes on him. Almost done.
Because he's not the sap that he tells me I am.
That's a sap. He's not the sap, she is. So if she's the sap, what's he like? That's what I was like. I'm not a sap. Where do your father? I'm not a sap like me. A sap. That's a sap, huh?
All right?
That's tragic.
All right?
Tragic.
I'm glad you're not pressing charges against me. Because, Matthew, you sit home in that little apartment of yours all day, and that's all you can think about is things you can do against me.
Is that
I
it?
actually have a job, that I actually have things that I have to do all day, and I'm busy.
Yeah.
She has said that about every job she's ever had. She's the only one that works. Nobody else does anything. And I know you've heard it from your abusers as well. The abuser's always the only one who ever works hard. The only one who ever... Everything would fall apart if it wasn't at the job, if it wasn't for the abuser. Meanwhile, if you ever show up at the abuser's job, they're usually have some monkey's job, or there's never anybody there. You can't figure out what the hell they're complaining about. Much like my mother.
Oh, I know. Nobody else there works, right?
I didn't say that, Matthew.
You said it a
I
million
didn't say
times.
that. Matthew, don't be twisting things. And as I said, Matthew, your wish will come true. It's not going to be around.
She's not going to be around much longer. I was 37. I'm 41 now. She's still fucking here. When are you going, dude? Leave. Go. Go. I've been listening to this since I was 10 years old. Fucking go. Go, drunkie. I'm sure they have vodka wherever you're going. Whether it's... Well, they got vodka, I'm sure, where you're going, dude. Don't worry. Won't even have to cremate you. We'll just light your fucking breath. Okay, 30 seconds left. Let's see if she finishes. See if she makes her... Because she's got to make a coherent argument somewhere in here, right? Here we go.
So you... All right. So, is there anything else you have to say to me?
Just leave me alone.
Nobody's bothering you.
Nobody's bothering.
Just tell the whore not to talk to my granddaughter about. That's all I'm
Oh, then don't talk to your granddaughter about her.
You know what? You know what, Matthew?
All right. You don't want to be talked about? Then don't talk to your granddaughter about her. Obviously, my mother's going to come up and say, you know what? That never happened. Listen, this is what's going on. Obviously, my mother. This is my mother's opportunity here, right here, to make her strongest point, of why she's right. And let's see what my mother says. We'll back it up. This case. Just make sure.
Just tell the whore not to talk to my granddaughter about. That's all I'm
Oh, then don't talk to your granddaughter about her.
You know what? You know what, Matthew? She's a whore. She's a whore. Whore.
Whore.
And if you don't get my understanding, if you don't understand, she's a whore. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, that was very convincing. Whore. That's my birth giver. I know you've heard that voice too, a lot of you. Sorry this went on so long, almost an hour, but thought it was important. I thought it was a good time to go back and revisit it. There was so many questions on this video. To begin with, I figure, why not do a little play-by-play on it, have some fun with it. So, sorry I had such a long period between videos. I get distracted sometimes. But I'm going to probably have another one up tomorrow. Until then, this is olliemathews. I'll talk to you all real soon. And thanks again for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye.